The Proper Football Live Show. Sundays at 6 p.m. for your football fix on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and PF Radio. Check out our website at properfootball.co.uk.
Hello, everyone. Dan, I don't know if you can hear me. My internet is dipping in and out like a yo-yo.
I can hear you, mate.
I don't know quite what's going on. You may have to jump in. Yeah?
We can hear you.
Okay, so anyway, hello, everyone. So welcome, show for a little while, but welcome to the last run of the season. And we are going to crack straight on by going around the table. Nigel, how you been? And how's Tricks?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Good finish to the season. I've actually really enjoyed the Premier League this year. It hasn't been a one-horse race or two-horse race. And as you can see by my shirt, I'm looking forward to my holidays next week.
Brilliant. Greg, you haven't been on for a little while. Well, we haven't been on for a little while, really. But,
yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
And how's things going?
All good, mate. Yeah. Obviously, season's drawing to a close, making the most of the nice weather, which makes a change. And also looking forward to a holiday as well in sort of 4 or 5 weeks. That should be all right. Yeah. Looking forward to summer, mate.
Brilliant. Dan, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Yeah, glad the season's coming to an end. A couple of games left, isn't there? But no, I'm all good, mate. All good.
Excellent. Okay, everyone and all the regulars that are joined in, please join in for our last show. We will be looking to wrap it up fairly quickly, or I will certainly have to go a little bit earlier than normal, but Dan will carry it on. Just really at the beginning of the show, I wanted to just cover off. So we are now going on the closed season. So this is the last show for this season. Obviously, we'll be looking to come back. In what format we come back next season's totally undecided. We'll be looking at that closely over the next several weeks. But we'll be looking to come back towards the end of July in one way or another, and we will let you know and keep everyone informed via all our platforms and our website, www.properfootball.co.uk. Thank you all. I'll say it now. Thank you all so much for the support and everything that you've given us this season. I'm sure that comes from all of us. Well, let's crack on. Let's start with the FA Cup final yesterday, gentlemen. And all I can say is, what a goal in 12 seconds. Nigel,
Unreal, wasn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, not only the quickest goal ever, but it was a cracker, wasn't it? I mean,
Couldn't have called it any sweeter, could he, really?
no.
Up till then, Man United were well on top, I thought.
Mate, I thought they had the best of that 12 seconds. I don't think they touched the ball, did they? But it was a good cup final. I think the whole for once I noticed Man City brought a full house down. That's unusual for them at Wembley. I guess that was because it was the derby. But
VAR cropped up again, did it, with Grealish's handball?
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on that, folks. You can join in on this thing. So I think really listening to the ridiculous punditry that you normally get, I have to agree. I mean, with what they were pretty much saying, what a ridiculous law. That was never, ever realistically a penalty, but the law is what it is. By the letter of the law, that was a penalty, but ridiculous. What's your fault? I mean, obviously they're going to change the law, aren't they?
This is the thing. I think what makes it even more ridiculous is like, say United had scored that penalty and then gone on to score again and won 2-1 or whatever, right? City could have looked at that and gone, well, hang on a minute, you've just said that you're going to be changing the law in a matter of weeks, and so next season that won't be given. And I think that's the thing that makes it a farce more than anything. We all know by the letter of the law it's a penalty, but what's Grealish meant to do with his arms? You're jumping through the air, his back's turned. I think his eyes were even shut at one point. He's coming down, he's landing, his arm, naturally your arm's going to be up. I don't know what he's meant to do. But obviously, it's good.
I think in another season that was never a penalty. I mean, only because of the ridiculous law that they brought.
I think you just got to have a bit of common sense attached to it. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing.
What are your thoughts, Nige?
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone off over this VAR decision with the Grealish thing. Right, it went off over in Italy with Mourinho because they had a handball turned down, and it was virtually the same thing. What happened in the cup final? So this is the inconsistency you're getting out of referees now because I think they're getting too confused with the VAR, and something's got to be done about it because it's ruining the game at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, Nigel, on that.
Deliberate, Gal, isn't it? Deliberate. When it's deliberate handball, that's what they've got to do. If it's deliberate, you give a penalty. You can say if something's deliberate or not.
The law that they brought in this year, that isn't the case anymore, is it? Because that wasn't a deliberate.
It's like if the ball hits the hand in the box in an unnatural position, then it's a penalty.
That's it.
That's
and they deemed that was an unnatural position.
The problem you've got as well, going back to Nigel's point, the problem you've got as well is obviously in this country they're going to sit down, they're going to change the rules, and Howard Webb's going to be at the front of that. But in Europe, I know obviously it was an English ref in charge of the Europa League final, but that's going to be a UEFA decision. That's not going to be anything to do with RFA or Howard Webb or anything like that. So, again, next season you could find yourself in the same boat where we implement one rule and then they might not change the rule or they might implement something different, You've got absolutely across the whole board and it's not.
Why are they making it hard, though? I mean, football was football back in the day. Why in this day and age now, why are they trying to change everything? Can't understand it. It's just too many changes going on over the last few years.
Yeah.
You can see if someone's deliberately handballed it or not. I don't think either the Roma one and the Grealish, neither of them were deliberate.
They were deliberate, yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
But the Grealish one was, well, they looked at it as if it was in an unnatural position. A natural position is to have your arms. Well, players are meant to have their arms behind the back now, aren't they? But that's not a natural position, isn't it?
Well, the whole unnatural thing doesn't make sense because Grealish jumping with his back turned like that. If he's got his arms by his side, that doesn't look natural, does it? As you say,
just bringing up what is written and Darren's just putting in. Thank you, Darren, for that as well. Darren's just put on there the letter of the law. It's still down to interpretation. Have a close look. The interpretation is you have a close look at the body movement for that specific situation. So Grealish is jumping, arms are up, and that's justifiably by the player's body movement. Well, that's justifiable by the player's body movement, and that's what's written in law. So, while they're all saying on shall we say the Muppet punditry that we get nowadays, they're all saying, well, by the letters of the law, it is a penalty. But then again, is it? Because it is down to interpretation. I mean, if I was sat at St George's Park looking at them cameras, I would have watched that. I would have studied that and gone, well, no, that ain't a penalty. That's not deliberate. No way. And that hand in unnatural position, I wouldn't have thought so. But anyway.
Just give an indirect free kick. If that happens, he gets caught in the air, maybe, I don't know. Just don't
also as well,
whether it's deliberate or not.
Yeah, and I've got my doubts as well, and call it conspiracy, but I've got my doubts that, if that's a Palace or a Watford or a Burnley at Wembley, you don't get that penalty.
Yeah.
It's a sort of penalty that's given for the top sides, isn't it? That's the little teams.
Why are you including Palace in it?
Do you think?
I'm Watford or Palace, the first two teams to come and win, mate, to be honest.
You're right.
Do you think the Man City fans were going to throw chairs at the ref when he was leaving the ground? I wonder. I'm not going to go on to it, but about the stick we've been getting. But the Mourinho, that was at it from the first minute. I watched the game. I sat through 140 minutes of pain. They was at it from the first. Horse's head in your bed.
Seville were at it as well. It's just but it's acceptable that is in Latin American countries, South America. It's that style of football, and it has crept in here, isn't it? I mean, because you've got a lot of influx of players, but we hate it. Turns people off of football here, doesn't it? It's a different culture of watching football.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, and I think I wrote it on the post actually, is arguably it probably was one of Anthony Taylor's better games, which is ironic because if the Italians that were slagging us off had seen him in this country a lot of this season, they'd be amazed because he's been 10 times worse. But in terms of South American football, Spanish, Italian football, they've got a lot of strong refs and they do get a grip on it very early. That's why when you watch late games in La Liga, got one on now. Italy, Serie A, the cards come out early. They put a stamp to it first 15, 20 minutes. They get in. Refs get in players' faces as much as players get in refs' faces out there. And they say no. They say no. Enough's enough. Whereas I felt that every time I saw Anthony Taylor and players were approaching him, he was just backing off, and he was kind of letting it happen. And I think that they kind of felt like they could do it, and it just escalated. And
what I'm saying is he didn't manage the situation.
I don't think he managed it well enough early on at all. He could have put it to bed after 20 minutes, and I think it would have been a better game. But I don't think he was strong enough.
He's had 14 yellow cards on the game, hasn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
14.
Do you think the second half? It was that. I mean, there was a couple of the dubious decisions. I thought the Roma's first goal could have been a foul in the middle, but it didn't give it. The Roma fans haven't noticed that it wasn't a foul. We got it right. But do you think if someone's berating the ref, if you're a human being, someone's on you all the time, constantly having a go at you, do you think if there's a decision you've got to make a call, you're going to swing one way or the other?
Well, yeah, especially if you've been called all the names under the sun, then probably. But like Seville, they had a penalty, didn't they? And he overturned it. He went and had a look at the monitor, and he said no. So Roma did get decisions off him. It's not like they didn't get any decisions off him.
No.
I mean, the goalkeeper encroachment thing. I mean, like, you don't see that much in penalty shootouts these days, do you? And yet, if he's made him take the penalty again for that save, if you went back and looked at all the penalty playoffs that we had, you'd probably see about 25% of keepers doing that.
Yeah. He should have booked him, and although if he made him, don't have to book the goalkeeper if they were off the line. Should have been another yellow card.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna draw a line under this one so we can move along because we've got quite a bit to cover. Just to say that Dan's a scourge of Rome at the moment because he's been critiquing Mourinho. We didn't realise.
No, it's not me, it's someone else. If anyone's
don't say anything negative about any Italian football team.
We didn't realise we had that many Italian football fans watching us. But thank you. Well done, Italy. And well done for watching us, all you Italian people. Carry on. And if you want to keep having a go, crack on. I hope you enjoy it. Right, okay. Let's move off the FA Cup then. City winning it again. So the Premier League finished up last weekend. City winning it, obviously. And I think as much as I've lost all our predictions, unfortunately, we all predicted this season a 2-horse race, didn't we? Man City, Liverpool. That's what we thought. And it completely wasn't what we thought.
I said Arsenal, girl. You lost it, have you? That bit of paper.
Yeah.
I said Man City to cruise it as well, to be fair.
I think I said Arsenal to... No. I think we all thought Man City, but I think we thought Liverpool would be the side pushing them and not Arsenal. Your views, Nigel, overall on the football season in Premier League with what went on?
Yeah, I think it's been a good Premier League this year. I think it's you couldn't put your finger on who was going to actually win a title from just after Christmas. It went a lot further, and like I said, I don't think Arsenal bottled it. I think they've had a really good season. I just think at the time City were catching them up. You could see they were building up ahead of steam, and it was just relentless. They all come together at the right time. And they've even ended up winning the season earlier than they thought they would. So it's enabled them to rest a few players before these finals come in and took the pressure off them. So, but overall, I think it's been a really good Premier League season.
And the relegated sides, any surprises there? I think Leicester's got to be. We wouldn't have put Leicester down for relegation, would we?
Well, no. I don't know. Listen, if you get relegated, you 99.9% you deserve to get relegated.
Yeah,
because you ain't.
Yeah, but at the beginning of the season, I don't think any of us would have put any money on Leicester being relegated. I think out of all of them, that to me was
that was the one. Yeah, definitely. I think when you Nigel makes a good point. When you look at the sides that have gone down, obviously Southampton's form, we all know about that. But when you actually look at Leicester, I thought they didn't keep a clean sheet for 6 months. If you're not keeping a clean sheet for 6 months, you're in trouble. You look at Leeds and the amount of goals they're shipping. It's actually quite funny because there's not a side that you think, they're actually hard, a bit unlucky to go down. I think it was right. Bournemouth hit form at the right time. They got strung a couple of great results together. Same with Forest. And Leicester just weren't at it. Whether getting rid of Rodgers was the right thing or not, we'll never know. But yeah,
the other thing is as well, like it's going to probably kick Leicester in the nuts more than it's going to kick the other two teams because they're going to lose their star players now. Them star players have probably already lined up a Premiership club to go back to.
Yeah.
So
And I'll tell you another thing as well.
Those star players aren't getting relegated. They're going to still be in the Premiership. It's a club that's got relegated.
Yeah, and another thing about Leicester as well is they've got a lot of players out of contract. But start of the season, obviously clubs have sort of like their targets. Bournemouth would have been to survive, etc. Right? Leicester, no way would they probably even thought bottom half finish, let alone going down. And so you think about their contracts as well. What sort of contracts have their players got? They're not going to have relegation release clauses or wage drops or anything like that. You can't imagine.
I think Leeds, out of all of them, will probably they haven't got to do as big as rebuild or reset as the others, because a lot of their players weren't up to the standard. They're probably good Championship players, and I think, like Nigel said, Leicester have got a massive turnaround of players and big stars. So there's a lot more work to do there, and Southampton to some extent.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I probably disagree a little bit. I think Southampton are going to be the ones that will probably do best. The only reason I say that is because they've already gone and sort of got their manager, haven't they? Like that, they've got that Swansea fella coming in,
Martin.
Russell. Is it Russell Martin? And obviously they've got such a young squad, Southampton. I think that's kind of what's cost them in the Premier League, the age of their squad. And they've got a lot of young players. Obviously, if the foreign boys that they've signed take to the Championship, which is obviously always a question. And they can kind of sign a few others with the money they're bound to get for Ward-Prowse. I think they could be all right, Southampton.
Yeah, I got a feeling Southampton are going to be a team watching next season myself. That was my gut feeling. I don't know why, but my gut was saying that. Okay,
that's going to be that's going to be an even harder league to get out of this.
Champion. Yeah. I'm going to touch on one more thing in the Prem, then we'll talk about Championship, because Nigel, I think you are absolutely. You look at the clubs. Anyway, one last thing on Newcastle getting into the Champions League. Was that expected? Do you think I think they've done remarkably well to achieve it. And I don't know who I was talking to. I do. Is this going to be the catalyst? Because they're reporting that they are now way ahead of the schedule they anticipated they would be at. I got a feeling we're going to see some major moves from Newcastle in the transfer window and are going to be a force to be reckoned with next season. What are your thoughts on Newcastle?
I think they'll keep building as they are, to be honest, because I hate everything about who's taking them over and the whole state.
Mate, they're being linked with some really big deals, mate. So
but they've been shrewd, haven't they, so far? And I think
they have, but now they're in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Are they going to be so shrewd, and are they going to splash the money now?
I think the main thing with Newcastle is the players they did splash out on have actually done the business.
Yeah.
I think that's been the secret.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Chelsea, we mention Chelsea all the time. Spent a hell of a lot of money on players, and they haven't done it. Newcastle, they haven't gone and broke the bank, but they paid a bit more than they normally pay for players.
Yeah.
And they come in and done the business. When they're outstanding for the managers and playing again, like we mentioned again, the manager Guardiola at City, he's a genius. He's got a squad of players, probably some of the best in the world, but he's got them playing as a team. And I think that's what he's put up at Newcastle.
But he won't go out and buy Neymar or something like that, Eddie, because he'll buy players who will fit into that team work there.
I think that's the thing. What will be interesting for me is how much kind of credibility has Eddie Howe got in the bank? If Newcastle come November next season are kind of not in the top sort of 4-6 of the league, are the owners going to turn around and think, we're Champions League now? We should, we finished here last season. We need to be here now. Are they going to get ahead of themselves in that respect? But
this
I don't know.
is
It's an interesting one. It's definitely one to watch.
Mate. No, it is, because I think this is where we are going to. This is make or break time for Eddie Howe, more than it's been ever in his career.
I think the fans will be relatively grounded. I think they'll be like, we're in Europe. They'll enjoy it. They'll love that.
They're over the moon.
Yeah, I think they'll be grounded. I don't think they'll panic at all. But if they was to get up to a little bit of a shaky start, then what?
The Newcastle fans are not the arrogant level of fans like they are with the other big club, but they give them time. I'm sure they will. And when they keep winning stuff and whatever else, they'll become arrogant like the others have. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think the fans, it won't be the fans, but I just wonder, this is such a big season coming up for Eddie Howe next year. Champions League is going to be new on him. And he is going to need a different sort of mindset, isn't he?
Bigger squad, more players.
Like you say,
He's
you
got to
play,
deal with
you're
bigger
playing,
characters.
you play Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you got them 6 group games, and obviously, if they get out, they have more games. You know,
he said he's playing for it. He's a very intelligent bloke, and he's playing for it. And I honestly think they're going to kick on. And I think they'll be able to handle these players coming in, the new players and stuff. I think they'll be all right.
They've got to go for the right sort of characters, though, haven't they? Like you mentioned Neymar, like it'd be awful for them. It'd be awful for anyone. You know, his attitude stinks, and he's all about.
I hope he gets a sack, Eddie Howe, and he can come and take over England, get rid of Southgate.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, he's had a brilliant season, Eddie Howe. I think I didn't think he was going to make the grade after you know, looking at his history. He's not really proven himself so far up until Newcastle. I think the Newcastle structure is fantastic the way they've done it, and it's great. I just think next season, I still believe for me. I guess I'm still on the fence a little bit about Eddie Howe. I think he's had a fantastic season, done great. It's really proof's going to be in the pudding next year.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've never been one to sort of rave about Eddie Howe. I've kind of been a bit of a critic, especially when he was at Bournemouth. You know, I didn't get.
Yeah, I mean,
you've got to give him credit where it's due. He's done really well. This year. Yeah, you know.
Like so, for me, I think next year, either Eddie Howe will become a Guardiola in the football world, or he won't.
What he done at Bournemouth was unbelievable, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but then he went to Burnley and fucked it right up.
Yeah. Well, he got homesick, didn't he? It was a bad.
No.
Have you ever been to Burnley? No. So Burnley on my back as well.
It's a strange old place.
Doing wonderful. I'm not knocking him. I really respect what he's done, and I really hope and pray that he does. But I think realistically, it's next season that is going to define. Yeah. Eddie Howe is not this season.
You know, it wouldn't shock you if come 10 games into the season, Newcastle were 3rd, or if they were 13th for me. It really wouldn't shock me either way. You know, it could be anything. You know, they might have a slow start to the season. They might bring new players in that don't gel.
We won't do our predictions until we come back. I think
they might want a big name manager because he weren't. I don't know if he was their first choice, was he, Eddie Howe? He might have wanted a big name to attract the big players.
I think he's earned the right to be given the chance. I'm sure the owners will give him that chance because the fans won't like it. I say, for me, Eddie Howe has done a wonderful job at Newcastle. Is it a job that puts him up in the higher echelons of managers? Not for me yet.
I'm with Gary on this. I'm with Gary. Not yet.
Not yet.
No, you're right. It's too much.
He's got to win something as well, and that's the thing. Yeah. You know,
I genuinely hope he does it. I really do. Just for the fact that it'd be great to have an English manager of that stature, and maybe England can benefit from that in the future as well. I truly hope he does. But for me, next season, Nigel, what's your thoughts on that? Quickly, then we'll move on to the Championship.
Yeah, I'm with you. Listen. They have got to buy some players in the close season. It'd be interesting to see who they do get in. And that's he's got his team playing well at the moment. If he brings a few more players in, do they upset the apple cart? It's a hard one, isn't it? Yeah. For me, it all depends on how they get out of the traps at the start of the season and what players they bring in that strengthen the squad.
Yeah, I truly hope Dan's statement is the one that we'll be grateful for, and that is he kicks on. I think we all want that, and Dan's enthusiasm on it is brilliant. And let's hope and pray that is what happens. I really do. Genuinely hope for the best with him. Right, okay, Championship chaps. I'll tell you what, we'll
hand this over to me.
And we're going to hand over to Dan just to talk about the we know the teams that went up. We've discussed all them already. One team went up via the playoffs. Me and Greg are going to keep our mouth shut. Greg, I'm going to take you off the screen. Dan, let's just have a little chat about the playoff situation and the side that's gone up. Over to you, Dan. Then we'll talk about the Championship in general for next season because, wow, that is some league coming up now with the sides that have come down and come up.
Yeah, right. Obviously, like we said, Burnley, brilliant. Company, brilliant. Sheffield United shocked a few people as well with their problems. But yeah, Luton and Coventry getting to the play. All the 4 teams maybe not so much Middlesbrough, but Sunderland had a great season to get there. But Luton and Coventry, fantastic for them. The achievement they've done to get there is just really painful for you. But yeah, it's a brilliant story. You've got to admit it as much as it's hard for you boys. But I was chuffed from the get up. Rob Edwards seems like a good manager, especially after what happened to him at your club, wasn't it, early in the season? So I'm going a bit over the top now. But no, I think
you know what? I will throw in
story,
one thing, right? And it's not a negative. Right? I'm going to say this, and it kills me, and it is painful, but you can't take it away from him. You know, at the end of the day, it's a results business. And they finished third. They won the playoffs, and they went up. And you know, that's where it finishes for me. But I
think it's hard. It's hard when they're your bitter rivals. It's a very difficult thing to discuss. But the one thing I'm going to take that away for the moment, and the one thing I'm going to say very simply is that I guess from a footballing point of view, the way I am about football, the modern football game that I hate so much now, which I do. I don't like modern football the way it's going or anything. It's really good for football to see a club like that go up.
Yeah, but they can't. Am I right in saying they can't play at the home ground? They've got to use Milton Keynes.
They got to spend 10 million quid to get the ground sorted.
10 million.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, going to get allocated 1,000 tickets.
Well, it won't even be that, mate. I think it'll be about 600-700.
People have been taking their style of football, and it's not probably the greatest to watch. But what do you do?
They went away, didn't you? Yeah, they won some away matches. I never expected them to win, Luton. And like I said, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the points you got on the table. That tells you how well you've played in the season. And you know, we've all got a rivalry with Luton and Watford, and the fans hate each other. At the end of the day, it's still a game, and and they played the game better than we have. In Watford.
But there's some great stories of in that, like the geezer who's come from non-league and he's gone all the way up through him. I can't remember his name now, but it just shows, it gives hope to other teams who
that's why it's so hard for me, Dan, because for me, seeing clubs like that doing something the way they've done it with the cesspit of a ground they got, and this is hard.
Look at Wrexham, what they've done. With all the money and all the advertising, you put Luton up against Wrexham. Luton all day long has been an unbelievable achievement without all that fanfare and all that.
And you look to be fair as well, you could throw in Bournemouth the other year, because Bournemouth were down in League Two, weren't they? Whatever it was, then Division 3, and they was on the verge of going out, and obviously they survived, and they've gone up, and now they're in the Premier League. So they're not the only teams that have done it. Swansea as well,
isn't it?
What you've got to remember is after them other clubs like Luton, they haven't got a trigger-happy chairman. Wants to fire a manager after 8 or 10 games every time. So, you know,
like I said to people as well, right? Regardless what your views are on Edwards, whether he should have stayed or gone or whatever, at the end of the day, when you hire and fire a manager like Watford do, right, eventually it's going to come back and bite you on the arse, right? It doesn't matter if it's, there's certain managers now that are in the Premier League, but you still look at them and go, they're all right, but whatever. But it was always going to come a time where it was going to come back and bite us, and it came back and bite us, and you just have to swallow that. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah, you do. I think I've said what my thoughts are about that situation, and a little bit. I mean, this season with the Graham Potter situation at Chelsea as well. I think there are managers that have got this really brilliant way of taking average teams and turning them into a formidable group of players, average players. And I think Graham Potter's one of them managers. That's why he didn't go to Chelsea. I think good
coaches.
They're good coaches, but you go to the likes of Chelsea, and unless you can manage a load of prima donnas or a load of twats like they have got at Watford, then them managers can't cope. I don't think.
And also as well, you look at the style of play as well, Gal. The style of play that Luton play and the style of play that Watford try and play, not successfully, but at the end of the day, it's completely different. And Edwards has gone in there. And also, one thing you've got to remember as well, it's not like Luton sacked a manager and they were down the bottom of the league and he turned them round. Literally, their manager left when they were flying. He went to a Premier League team. They was already riding a wave, and he went in there and he just continued that journey. Now, don't get me wrong. Give him credit, but
perfect manager.
For him. It was a great appointment for him. It made perfect
sense. Greg, back your point up there about being in the right team, what was his name? The guy who went to Southampton from
Nathan Jones.
O'Neill.
Yeah, he went to Southampton, and that weren't the right fit for him. He got the sack, didn't he? So it's about the right fit. Chelsea need someone like Graham Potter. I know it's going to be the Celtic manager, and I think that's a bad mistake. Another bad mistake by them, but I can't say his name. Can you say his name?
I just got to quickly say this is just quickly got to change it. Second time today I've heard. Here we go. Yesterday on ITV4, St and Greavesy Rewind Cup Final special. Before the Cup Final, saw Nigel on it with Greavesy down the training ground. That's the second time today that's been spotted, Nigel. Look, championship.
It's bad because you've got the cameras. The week before we played the final, you've literally got the cameras at your training ground every day watching you, and there's something going on like so. You get all the big build up for that.
Championship. Look, I mean, Jesus, look at the clubs.
Probably the best. It's probably going to be the best championship ever, isn't it?
The clubs are coming up. I mean, from the first division.
Can you imagine what the overall attendances are going to be for the championship next season? They're going to be not far behind the Premier League.
Sheffield Wednesday Leeds. That's
the Yorkshire derbies, isn't it? Sheffield Wednesday United, Leeds versus Sheffield United, Leeds versus Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, now, Leicester in there, Southampton, Leeds.
Yeah. If you look at
Ipswich, they get big crowds, don't they?
West Brom,
Plymouth will have a massive following everywhere, won't they?
Southampton, Leicester, Leeds. Then you've got Plymouth, who by no means. I mean,
Plymouth have got fans all over this country as well, haven't they? They've got so many that have moved away from
Plymouth. Devon. You've got Sheffield Wednesday, huge club, and Ipswich, a big club. Again, I mean, when you look at the clubs that have gone out of the league, these clubs will bring in probably 3 times as many supporters into the championship.
Yeah. Norwich Ipswich again, nice derby there, isn't it? It's a big,
huge season. That is big clubs, and Derby missing out, Nigel. That must be a bit gutting.
Yeah, they're still rebuilding at the moment.
I think season too early for them, when it really.
Yeah, maybe next year they'll be a bit closer.
Chaps, this show is not going to get wrapped up in time for me, I'm afraid. So if you don't mind, if I just quickly cover off a couple of things I wanted to cover off, and then I'm going to have to depart and let you carry on.
We're not going to get an answer today then.
You're going to quickly. So for this season, I think teams of season for me, I think Plymouth had a fantastic season in League One. Leyton Orient, again, fantastic in League Two. I'm going to plumb. If I look at the National League, for me, I think Notts County, from everything I see and looked at, were the better side in that league. I'm not sure about the Wrexham thing, and I've seen some quite big names from the club, ex-players, all say, please don't let this become a circus. I got a feeling it is going to be a bit of a circus. I'm not a great fan of what's going on at Wrexham. It's fantastic for the club and the support, I guess, but I just got a horrible feeling this isn't right for us as football. You know, you now got Dwayne Johnson being linked with Colchester United. I mean, is this going to become some sort of Hollywood BAFTAs that you know you're going to be you need an English football club or a Welsh football club on your mantelpiece to become a true Hollywood star? That's what frightens me with all
Hang on, you had Elton John for years ago. Can't get much bigger than
that. Yeah, but he's a local Watford
You started
boy, it. He's a local Watford boy. But you see what I'm saying about this, you know, and there are ex-Wrexham players already now coming out and saying, don't turn this into a circus.
So Notts County is your team of the year, Gal, you'd say?
At National League, I would say Notts County. I think they played some unbelievable football. I'm really glad for a club like that to get back where they should be as well. So Premier League, for me, Brighton. And I say that on the basis that I believe that they'll go on and do more things yet. I know they've sold a couple of players, but I think their recruitment and everything's solid. Their structure's solid. There's something about Brighton at the moment that I think this isn't a one-off. I really do. I hope I'm right, and we'll see. Burnley, without a doubt, far and away the best side in the Championship. Players. Well, Haaland made a massive impact, didn't he, to the Premier League.
I'll back you up. Team of the year for me in all the divisions, and it pains me to say as a Palace fan, is Brighton, because they're up against the big boys. They lost their manager, bought in a new guy. So, like you said, fantastically run club, great players, losing players. You just can't knock them whatsoever. As much as I.
No. Do you know what? I was going to say mine as well. We've all said the same. But one thing I would say about Brighton is obviously we all watch the Premier League and other Championship and all that. But the one team I've enjoyed watching the most this season is Brighton. Like the football they play is superb. You know, it's exciting. It's free flowing, and it was under Potter, and it's got even better under De Zerbi. You know,
and I think if you replicate that down into non-league football, Notts County, that side down there.
And going back to your point about Wrexham, Gal. I'm kind of on the fence with it. So, yes, I think it is a circus. And the one thing that annoys me most about them is the media attention on them. You know, Talk Sport, they report what bloody Paul Mullins had for dinner. Do you know what I mean? And it's pathetic. It's so tedious. They must have done about 50 posts about their trip to Vegas. And it's like 2 years ago, they wouldn't have given a toss about Wrexham. So that side of it pisses me off. But I think that I think they're going to go up again. I think they will probably get promoted out of League Two because there's not much between League Two and the National League. You've seen Stockport run it close this year. You've seen other teams that have jumped up from National League straight to League One. So
you're absolutely right. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. No, I agree with you because you're going to get these egotistical players that will quite happily take a pay cut to go to Wrexham so that they can be near their Hollywood mates. And that's just what football's.
And I don't even think they need much, mate.
People might disagree.
I don't even think they need much. They probably only need a few players because let's be honest. Look, Forest Green, they went up, didn't they? They went up and they went up again. There was a couple of other teams that done it. So they're not even going to need mass investment to get out of League Two. League Two is not a great league compared to.
I mean, they're trying to use their Hollywood status to attract some like Gareth Bale and people like that. This is where the circus comes into it. You know, they're going to go to America, where they're probably the biggest supported club in America now because the Hollywood stars, and they're going to go out there and play Chelsea and Man United and all these in big, huge friendlies. It's like, I get it, but
you're right, though. It is a circus, and the media are playing up to this circus.
Before you go, Gail, I just wanted to ask you and the other lads, and the one question I've got about this season is: did you think the World Cup was a success being in the middle of the season? Looking at it now, has it affected the season? Personally, I think it actually worked very well.
Yeah, I think the only bad side is that you couldn't be out in the beer garden in the sun.
Mm-hmm. But it hasn't affected football, though, has it? The football's been exciting after. There ain't been that many injuries. I don't know. What do you think of that, Nigel? The World Cup in the...
I'm still not a lover of it at that time of the year, but I think there's a few players picked up some injuries in the World Cup that played for Premier sides, didn't they? Jesus, one of them, was he? So, like, you've got players playing in the World Cup that maybe picking up a few injuries that play for major Premiership sides, and then you've got Haaland sitting in his villa in Marbella having a holiday because they never qualified.
Yeah.
So
that makes a difference.
It's benefiting other players more than it's benefiting some others, and teams are affected by it. But I thought it was well organised. I thought it was a good tournament, but again, like Gary says, it's always been a case of people going on holiday. Some of them time the holidays for the World Cup being on while they're on holiday. They sit in a bar, get the sun on them, pint of beer, and then watch the football. I think that's how it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the question is the thing though, Dan, I think that we'll never ever know, right? Had the World Cup not been played in the winter, would the Premier League have finished the way it did? And we'll never know.
No, we won't. We won't ever know
because I don't think it would have done. I think there would have been different outcomes.
Well, we don't know.
There we are. We'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know. All right, look, before I go, let me finish off with the funnies that we've got this week. So we're going to quickly do the funnies, last ones of the season. And we've got a treat for the lads and the ladies. Please turn away now. This goes back to a crazy friendly that was played in Colombia. And we may now get a huge amount of complaints. I don't know. But hey, here we go.
A képviseletében, hát mit mondjak, ő már meccs cserélt, úgy tűnik az öltözőben. A kolumbiai játékosok élénken gyülekeznek ott a kezdőkörben, nem csodálom. Azt hiszem szabálytalan volt a rugás, meg lehetne ismételni.
Now, if that had happened over here,
Could you imagine? Niste, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was that all about, though?
I have no idea. It was a friendly, and they
the Hungarian captain couldn't have done any. Tried harder not to make out he wasn't looking, wasn't he? He was just,
But in our very, very shall we say country that loves to be offended.
Yeah.
Please, people. That footage was public, so we do apologise for anyone who may have been upset by that. And for those who haven't,
on the flip side, Gaz, it was Striker, whether it's male or female, running the football pitch, they get a cheer. So I don't think many people are offended by it.
No. I know. Well, you're not allowed to sing the song that I used to hear quite regular when you used to get the ladies walk along the bottom and it was like, get them out for the lads. You can't sing that anymore. Hate crime. You get nicked.
It's like the commentators, isn't it? Every 5 minutes. Oh, sorry for the language you might have heard. It's like, well...
I've had it sung to me, that song, girl.
Bloody ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Right. Okay, couple more to finish off the season with for me. This one... Nah, that ain't right. That ain't played it properly.
He's got...
what a shame. Why is that not cut properly? Right, okay. Basically, people, that's just such a shame because that was a great bit of video. Maybe we'll get it out for next season. So basically, the goalkeeper goes up to take the penalty. He takes the penalty, and this is what happened whilst the keeper was coming back from scoring, by the way, a great penalty. And this is, I'll play it again. So you've got to imagine this keeper's just taken the penalty. I'm gutted now because it's a great video. He's taken the penalty, scores it brilliantly, and this is what... What a shame. Bang, they go up the other end and score while he's out the box. Okay, one more. And this is a little special. I don't know. I see Carlton Leach had bumped into, down at Bournemouth last week, bumped into Gaza. And I've got to say, I see the picture of them both together. And not name dropping there, by the way. And Gaza looks really good at the moment. He looks really well, really, really well. One of the greatest players to grace English football. Such a shame. But no, he looked really well. But this is Gaza up to his normal games at Rangers. Yeah, that video cut short. But anyway, there you go. Some of the fun is to finish the season off for me. Okay, chaps, I'm going to leave you to it if that's all right. Dan, over to your Cape Blands. Like I say, just to repeat what I said at the very beginning, we can't do this without everyone else and who supports us in the background and obviously by watching and commenting and getting involved. Just say thank you all so much for supporting us with the show. Like I say, we'll be back some point end of July. In the meantime, I know Dan and Greg, I've got to take my hat off to you both. Your work on the social media, especially this last week or two, has been absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I just wish I was more that way inclined as well. I'm just not very good at it. But keep the good work up, lads, and keep supporting them on all our social media platforms and, of course, our website. Nigel, have a lovely holiday. We'll catch up with you during the break to say hello and say how you are. All right?
Yeah.
And we'll catch up. And same with you guys as well. I'm off. I've got to go because work calls. All the best, chaps. And thanks
for
everyone.
Soon, mate. Take care.
Take one, mate.
Bye.
Right, fellas. Who was your player of the season then? All leagues.
Well,
Just one player. I'll tell you what you're thinking about. John Stones, I'm going to go. I know Ireland's been great, but he had a couple of bad patches where he didn't score for 2 games or something. So, but no, I'll pick John Stones where he's coming for criticism. Season's gone past, and he make the odd mistake. But I just think that he's been faultless. Good had a good World Cup, and even his new role where he drops into midfield, the one that Pep's come up with. I just think John Stones has been.
He's had a good season. I just can't get away from Haaland. Considering his age and the price tag that he come with on his head, and all the expectation at the start of the season, people saying he ain't going to be as good as they think he is, and he's just broke all the records and he's proved everyone wrong. I think he's got a genuine hunger to win. It's not about the money with him. I think he actually doesn't like losing. And you can't say that about every single player playing at the moment.
Yeah, this is it. I agree with Callie. I don't think you can look past Haaland really for what he's done. He's pretty remarkable, really. And I think Callie was saying about his mindset then, right? At the full time yesterday, he literally, as soon as the full time whistle went, he wasn't bouncing around. He just went one more. He went one more. As if to say like Champions League next week. That goes to show where he's at, where his head's at.
Yeah.
They went out on the piss, didn't they, after they won the league? And apparently he was out the back cooking with the chef. Apparently, yeah. So he's built differently, and he's got a completely different mindset. The other one I'd throw into the mix, obviously they had a good season, great season, really. Arsenal to touch on them. Every time I've watched Arsenal, I've been really impressed with Odegaard. I think he's a hell of a player. He's good for a goal. He just seems to sit in midfield, makes things happen. Do you know what I mean? I think he's a very, very underrated player. Him as well.
Team of the year. If you've got a team of the year, Greg, haven't you? You worked out. It's going to be top loaded with Man City, I'd imagine. But
team of the year. I don't know, mate. I haven't really got that written down, mate. To be fair, off the top of my head, the team of the year, if I had to pick one, I've kind of touched on it already. Would be Brighton.
Right. Yeah.
I agree with Gal as well. What he said before he went. Obviously, Notts County. You got to give them massive credit in non-league. But yeah, Brighton for me, outstanding.
I'm interested next year. I call them Guardiola's disciples. You got Arteta, who was assistant to Guardiola at Man City, coach there. He's gone to Arsenal, and look at the job he's done there. And then you get Company, another one of his disciples at Burnley, and he's turned it around there. Now, I'll be really interested to see what players Burnley get in next year and how they progress, because he's clearly got them playing good football. They could be another Brighton. They could, and Brighton have had a brilliant season this year. So that's the two that I'm looking at. And I predicted at the start of the season to be City and Burnley.
I've got to be honest as well. The other interesting thing about Burnley is when they went down and when they was up playing, obviously Sean Dyche was their manager, everyone knew Burnley for playing a certain type of football. You go to Turf Moor, it's a horrible place to go. They're in your face. You can't get the ball down and play. They went down. They had a complete revolution of players in and out the door. They got a new manager in, and they played this brand of football last year that was probably the best football in the Championship. And you think, Christ, this isn't the Burnley that everyone's known for 10 years. God knows what their fans must think, because even us neutrals are looking at them going, well, this isn't Burnley.
But that's what I'm on about, the fact that you've got players there that Arteta's manager Company that have all been under Guardiola's guidance. So it just shows you what a genius of a manager.
They'll have to adapt a little bit, because they're not going to be able to play that free-flowing football in the Premier League every week. But certainly at home, I think they'll be a force. They'll definitely do all right next season.
But recruitment again. Like you say, Brighton have played that free-flowing football, haven't they? Been successful. That pressing. So the recruitment again for Burnley, and I hope he stays. I think he will stay at Burnley, won't he?
So changing the subject just a little bit. All the talk this week is of where Messi's going to end up.
Yeah.
So they're saying Barcelona are trying to get him back, but now the Saudis have offering stupid money.
Yeah,
I mean, is that going to be the way now where all these Benzema's going there, isn't he?
£88 million a year he's on, Benzema, isn't he? £88 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, we was touching on it earlier, weren't we, on the group? And we were saying that, you know, it's scary. Obviously, Ronaldo went there and everyone kind of went, oh, it's money. He's the only sort of star out there. 12 months later, you could have Benzema and Messi there. And I don't think it's going to make a blind bit of difference. I don't think anyone's going to watch it.
Remember when the American League started, New York Cosmos, and they started getting Pele and Gordon Power? That's what it's looking like. It's going to happen. They're going to be getting all the players at the back end of their careers, and that'll turn into what the American football, American soccer they call it, was started out as.
Yeah. The thing is, even recently, MLS, when they got Beckham and when they got a few other, Higuain went there as well, and I think
they'll lose out now.
Gerrard, wasn't it?
Gerrard, and Rooney as well. You know, all these players went there, but it's kind of like now. I think everyone probably 4 or 5 years ago would have said, "Oh, Ronaldo will end up in America," but he's not. He's gone to Saudi Arabia. And it's kind of the money is. I think it's pathetic personally. I think the fact that Ronaldo met Benzema, they're multi-millionaires. They've made their money. They don't need to go there. You know, especially Benzema. He's still got a year left on his contract at Real Madrid. Stay and win the Champions League next year. Win La Liga next year. You know, but. Money talks at the end of the day. Their heads get turned. Strange one. I'll give you an example of another player who went for money, right? He didn't go to Saudi. But you remember that Oscar who played for Chelsea?
China.
Yeah.
Oscar, the little midfielder.
He went to China, didn't he?
Yeah. And he's never been seen since. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. The arse has fallen out of the Chinese league now, I think.
Actually. They had to cut back, didn't they? They had to have so many homegrown players. They weren't allowed to spend much money, so that's fallen apart, that league now. Yeah,
but I think the reason that when you're talking about the American Soccer League, Nigel, back in the 80s, 90s, didn't that was money and attendances that fell short, wasn't it? Was that why it sort of went tits up in the end?
Yeah, they obviously Gordon Cowans, when I spoke to him at Villa about it, he played in the same New York Cosmos side as Pele, and he said like they had a private jet to take them to the matches. They were waited on hand and foot. The wives and the family got put up in a hotel. There were presents there for them. And I think they were owned by Warner Brothers at the time, weren't they?
Oh, was they? Right.
So like the money flying about then in them days was far superior to what they'd have got over in England. Now you're looking at the Saudis getting involved. The money they can offer the players will far outweigh what the American clubs can offer.
Bottomless pit. I mean, you've got them at Newcastle out in Saudi, and they're going to go to the World Cup, aren't they? I don't know what year it is, and they'll probably get it. Money talks with FIFA, doesn't it? As we all know. But we got 2 games left to play this season. We've got obviously the Champions League final, Man City Inter. I can only really see one winner there. But then we've got West Ham against Fiorentina, and Gary wanted to talk about this, but he's gone now. Is how everyone a lot of fans call it a Mickey Mouse Cup. Fans who support the bigger sides who are used to going to Europe, aren't they, and all that. But like we said, I think 90% of fans would love their team to get there.
Yeah.
This is just fans being fans, you know. They don't want to see any other team do well apart from theirs. I mean, and some of the comments are really, you know, the comments you need to just let go over your head, really. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, as a footballer myself, I'll take any cup final.
Yeah.
So, you know,
and I'll tell you what as well. I think for fans as well, it's like it's the European experience. I know, speaking to my mates, it's like, God, wouldn't you love it once in your life, just to have a little bit of a European tour? You know, don't matter who you're playing. Go off to Moldova or Latvia for all I care. It's Europe, isn't it? Yeah. Like I've got La Liga on at the moment. Obviously, it's the final day, and the games are split between 5:30 and 8 o'clock later on. And the games that are on now are teams that are going for Europe. So some are done, but you've got Osasuna at the moment. They're winning. They're going to be in the Conference League. Now, what an achievement for a team like Osasuna. You know, you can't remember the last time Osasuna were in Europe. And
you think if West Ham win this, they'll be in the Europa League again, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So
it's another incentive.
Carrot. Yeah, but I think the only thing is that the UEFA have put it in a Mickey Mouse. No disrespect to Slavia Prague and the Czech Republic, but it's in a ground that holds 20,000.
Yeah,
it's a major European final. How could you have 19,000 something, isn't it? So it's 4,500.
It's realistically, it's in a really good city, but they just picked completely the wrong ground. It's bizarre. Like Sparta Prague's ground would have been bigger. You know, I'm sure there's better grounds than that in Czech Republic, but it's a strange one. Don't get it. So
It's ridiculous. I just feel sorry for the West Ham fans who can't go. They'll all go out there, but
yeah.
it's as UEFA again, isn't it?
Have they got like
Pretty,
something stupid like 5,000 tickets or something?
Yeah, not even that.
Yeah.
So you'll be paying over the odds for the other ones that'd be spare, wouldn't they? Or unless they do what Roman fans do and go two by two through them turnstiles, wouldn't they?
The thing is as well, like you look at this is the hypocrisy with UEFA. So you look at that Europa League final last week, right? The game was in Budapest. Again, great city. Now you've got the ground it was at is obviously like the Hungarian national stadium, right?
Puskás Arena. Yeah.
Puskás Arena, right? Big old ground, 3 tiers, very sort of Wembley-esque look to it. Big
60,000.
capacity, perfect place to play it. But what they could have done is they could have played it at Ferencváros's ground, which is again it's a nice ground, but it would have been half the capacity. And it's like, so why have they with the Europa League chosen the right ground, but then with the Europa Conference League gone to a club where it's a tiny ground? Makes no sense.
I've been to that Budapest ground.
Yeah.
When I was playing for the under-21s with England, we played Hungary. And obviously, we played before the senior team did. So it's not a bad stadium. Definitely agree with you, Craig. It would have been better off being there somewhere like that.
Yeah. And again, UEFA, I think I mentioned this on the page, that's the same ground in Hungary where the racism happened against the English players, wasn't it? Where they had to play behind closed doors. So how are they being rewarded with a major final? It just UEFA stinks, don't they? It's
yeah. The only thing I would say to that, though, the only thing I would say to that is I've been to Budapest. It's a cracking city, good people.
Yeah.
You know, can you really penalise a whole city for a minority of people?
Of
you know, the Hungarians probably wouldn't have even been there anyway. It was half Seville and half bloody Roma. You know, I wouldn't want to see a city like Budapest penalised for that because I get what you're saying, but yeah.
We played in when we played Levski Spartak with Watford. We had a training session on their pitch the day before or the night before, something like that. There must have been about 9,000 fans were let into the ground to watch us train. Really? They were giving us abuse while we was training. Seriously, it's hostile over there.
Yeah. But well, all the best to West Ham anyway this week. I'd love to see them win.
I think most of the country will be behind them. To be fair, rivals aside,
when it comes down to English teams, you your English team, don't you?
Yeah, and
maybe like the Tottenhams and Chelseas of the world, I'm sure the rest of the country will be behind them.
Yeah, and maybe Declan Rice's last game at West Ham, who knows? But I mean, he'd be a great acquisition for another team, but it might stay if they win it. Who knows? But what's that?
Where's he going to Arsenal?
That's rumoured to be one of the teams. Chelsea was the rumour, but they're not even in Europe, are they? So
just a quick one on transfers. Obviously, we spoke about Benzema off to Saudi by the looks of it. Harry Kane to Real Madrid. Obviously, that's sort of heating up a little bit now. He looks like the obvious replacement. They're going to need another number 9. They haven't got anyone else. No. Surely they're going to approach Spurs for Harry Kane. Can you see that happening?
He wants that record, doesn't he, though? The Premier League record.
He don't want to go abroad. They say he wants to stay here. I think he will end up at Man United.
Yeah,
he's wasting away at Spurs, isn't he?
He's showing them an article in the papers.
Tell you what, though, if Real Madrid come calling and they're saying Champions League, this, that, and the other, and they offered him $300,000 a week, it's hard to turn down, isn't it?
Yeah.
Plus, you get to go and live in Madrid for a couple of years.
But the fact he's got 30 goals this year in the Premier League is unbelievable in a very poor team. He's been sort of got. I know he's been well publicised, but for what Ireland's done, but. Harry Kane is a brilliant, top world-class player. I know he gets a lot of stick, but he's fantastic.
A player like him finish his career without a major medal to show for it.
Yeah.
I mean, Alan Shearer stayed loyal to Newcastle, didn't he? He should have had more trophies than he did for a player of his calibre. And I think, Harry Kane finishes his career and he looks at what he's got medal-wise, trophies, he'll be disappointed. I know you can be as loyal to Tottenham as you want. They ain't going to win anything major. And they got a chairman. I mean, it was in the papers the other day that the word's going around now with the agents and players that stay away from Tottenham.
Yeah. Just a quick one on Spurs as well. It looks like Postecoglou to Spurs is almost done. They're reporting. So they obviously Celtic only won the Scottish Cup yesterday, but it looks like talks have happened today, and that's close. So
I just don't think that's a good thing. Right, guys, we're out of time. Anything else you want to bring up before we shut down for the summer?
One more question from me. Do you want to see City win the treble?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be on Mixcloud later on, mate. 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah. Nigel, let's get your graphic up, mate. Nigel's on Mixcloud tonight from 9 o'clock. You say, Nigel?
9 o'clock, yeah.
Oh, that's my Mixcloud. Hang on, that's wrong. My controller's in the. Just heard it's going to cost me £700 to get it fixed at the minute. Water damage from the kids, but yeah, you can catch Nigel on Mixcloud. Really easy to follow. www.mixcloud.com. Just type in. What's the best thing to type in, Nigel, on Mixcloud to get to you?
Just type in that. That's my link. Like if you click on the link on my Facebook page, I always put a link on there. If you click on it, it takes you straight to me.
Yeah, right. So have a great show, Nigel, and have a nice summer. You're off to Corfu, mate, aren't you?
Yeah,
and,
next Friday I travel out of Corfu, my first holiday in 4 years.
Lovely. Well, have a good one, mate. Greg, have a nice summer yourself.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, catch up soon.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the end credits. Here's some, mate. Right, everyone, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back later on in the summer. Have a good one.
Guys, have a good summer.
Yeah, all the best, man. See ya.